I'm going to run through how to add and format tables in PowerPoint. I'm starting off here in Excel because I've already produced a table in Excel, as you can see. And this is a table that I want to produce in PowerPoint. Now, there are several ways of producing a table in PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you what these are. First of all, you can see from this table here that we have 11 rows and we have 5 columns. So we could go into PowerPoint and we could go into the Insert menu, go to Table. We can draw a table by dragging across these boxes here. So we've got 5 columns, but we can only put in a maximum of 8 rows. If we wanted to add more, we can do that. The quickest way of doing that, to be honest, is just to go to the final cell here, hit Tab, final cell, hit Tab, final cell, hit Tab. And now you've got your table with 5 columns and 11 rows ready to be populated with the data. And then we can simply go back to our Excel file, pick up each line of data at a time and paste it in. You can pick up several rows in one go and go across here and just hit paste. They'll come in kind of a default format, which you'll need to change. And then we can do the same for, in fact, the rest of the table in one go. We can copy and we can paste it across. And then we can go in and we can format all the cells exactly how we want to do, change the font, change the color, change the alignment, and so on and so forth. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it very quickly is to go to Insert Table and then Insert Table here and then type in the number of columns. So we want 5 columns and we want 11 rows, and that comes in exactly the same way. And again, we can populate it in the way that we just did. Now, the thing is, if you've already got a table in Excel and it's kind of formatted the way you want it, wouldn't it make more sense just to copy it across in one hit? Well, yes, it would. So let's go and select the whole table, hit Control-C, go back to PowerPoint, and I'm going to right-click on the slide. And you can see that there are 5 paste options. This is similar to the paste options that we had when we were producing charts. You can paste it in using the destination style. That's the default style in PowerPoint for tables. You can paste it in using the keep source formatting. This is the one we're going to use. I'll come back to it in a second. You can also embed it. That will embed the Excel file itself within PowerPoint, so it can still be edited as an Excel file. You can bring it in as a picture, or you can bring it in as text only. This is the way I would bring it in if I was going to manually produce the table. But as I said, we're going to keep the source formatting and we're going to bring the table in. And here you can see the table pasted into PowerPoint, looking very similar indeed to the table that we had in Excel. I'm going to make the table bigger, just so we can see what we're working with. I'm going to run through the 2 context-sensitive menus that now have appeared at the top here, Table Design and Layout. Let's go to Table Design first of all. I'm going to start off with these table styles. There are several built-in table styles in PowerPoint, as you can see. I'm going to change it to one of these temporarily just to show you what effect it has. So let's change it to this blue one here. And you can see it's produced a table in blue and all the text has gone to black. Now, on the left-hand side here, under Table Style Options, you've got various options. You can add in a header row. If I click Header Row, you can see that it's now changed the color and the boldness of the font in that header row. I can add in a total row. Now you see that has no effect on the table. It depends what table style you select. You can see that some of these table styles actually have a total row. So if I click this one, for example, you can now see that total row. You can highlight the first column if you want to. You can highlight the last column. You can have banded columns, or probably more useful, banded rows. So those are the various options you've got, particularly when you're using the built-in table styles in PowerPoint. Let's undo all of that and go back to the table that we originally pasted in from Excel. You can also see on the table design options shading. I'll click on the color here. Let's click on the orange. It shades the whole table. Or you can select blocks of cells and color those in as well. You can add borders to your table. First of all, select the pen color you want to use. Let's say we're going to select a very dark green. Go to borders and select Let's select all borders, and you can see now that we have dark green borders on our table. You can add effects to a table, such as a cell bevel, for example, but I'd be very careful when using these. They look a little bit cheap and tacky, and unless there's a really good reason for using them, I would probably steer clear. You've also got the option to use various word art styles, and again, probably best to steer clear of these and keep the table as simple as possible so that it helps to get your message across. And finally, you can draw a table. So if you wanted to, for example, draw a column down here, you can do so. You can also use the eraser to get rid of various lines within your table, either ones you've drawn or existing lines. So those are all of the table design options. Let's look at the layout tab now. You can insert table rows and table columns very easily. So for example, if I was to click on the Netherlands cell here and insert a row above, then you can see a row is inserted. Likewise with columns, you can insert to the left and the right. You can merge and split cells. If I click on this cell here and go to split cells, it gives me the option to select a number of columns. Let's select 4 and click OK, and you can see it's now split it into 4 columns. If I then select those 4 columns, I can go to merge cells and it will merge them back into one column again. One of the things I like is this option to change the height. So if I can change the height of the whole table by selecting the table itself. If you drag a row out like that, you can increase the size of the row. But if you want them all to be the same size, if you select the table and click on distribute rows, it will redistribute the rows to fill the height of the table and make sure that all of the rows are the same height. You've got text alignment options here. You can align your text to the left, to the center, to the right, or of course you can do that by selecting just a range of cells and aligning the text how you want it. You've also got the option to align text at the top of the cell, to the middle, or to the bottom. I quite like putting it in the middle, so I'm going to click middle, and you can see the text all shifts up to the middle. You can change the cell margins. You can either do this with 4 presets, or you can go to custom margins and you can select, let's make this a ridiculously big number so you can see the effect it has, and click preview. You can see now the cell margins are much larger, and of course it's pushed the table off of the edge of the slide, so I'm going to cancel that. You've got the overall table size here, and you've got the arrange options here, which you'll be familiar with already. And so let's just quickly finish off formatting this table to make it look a lot neater. First of all, I'm going to change the font. The font by default is Calibri, and as you know from previous lessons, Calibri is the default across the Office packages, and I don't particularly like it. So I'm going to change it to, let's use Livic. I quite like Livic. Livic semi-bold, and for these we'll just use Livic regular. I'm going to centralize everything in these 4 columns, which I think looks a lot better. And I think what would look nice is to make this top row a nice deep blue, and also this left-hand column in the same color. Then of course we need to make the text white, so let's just do that quickly. I don't particularly like the green borders now, so I'm going to change those. I'm going to change the pen color to white and select all borders. And now we have white borders. And I don't particularly like these grey cells. They look as though they're merging too closely to the green. So it does need to be a grey. So I'm going to make it a dark grey. And then I'm going to change the text colour to white. And the other thing you'll know from the course that I don't particularly like is the white background. So I'm just going to change it to a very dark grey. So you can see that the table tools in PowerPoint are very powerful. Allied to Excel, they become even easier to use.